The Secrets of Star Wars is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
I am Emily Swallow, also known as the Armorer on The Mandalorian. And I'm just giving a little shout out to the Secrets of Star Wars podcast because this is the way.
Hello there.
It's a power that Jedi have that lets them control people and make things float.
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
It's against my programming to impersonate a deity.
That's not how the Force works.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force, and I fear nothing.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Welcome to the Secrets of Star Wars, where we discuss everything connected to that galaxy far, far away. From movies to books, TV shows, and more, we're looking at the deeper themes and meanings and finding hope in the Star Wars universe. Today, we're talking about Skeleton Crew, Episode 4. Can't say I remember no At Achrann. I'm your host, Robert King. And joining me today are Kathryn Laffrey and Ryan Nafziger.
There we go.
Completely mangled that. Apologies. Welcome, Kathryn.
Hello, Captain Kathryn.
Oh, Captain Kathryn. You claimed these
on it.
Yeah.
And it's good to see you, Ryan.
Hello again.
All right. Before we get into our conversation, we would love to thank our Patreonic patrons. This episode, we'd especially like to thank Alex S., Aga O., Sean M., Sean N., and David B. We literally would not be able to make the Secrets of Star Wars without you, to say nothing of the many other shows here at StarQuest. Any of you listeners can join them at sqpn.com/give. All right, let's talk about Skeleton Crew Episode 4. I kind of pulled together this recap from a little bit of Wikipedia, a little bit of Wikipedia, and, having watched it myself. So when we left our heroes, they had just escaped from some New Republic security forces, I guess. And they have what they think are the coordinates of At Achrann. But when they land, well, it's eerily familiar, but it's in utter ruins, and what is left is being fought over by at least two gangs, the Troiks and the Hattans, who have stolen the Troiks' livestock called Eopes. It turns out this world is one of the other Jewels of the Old Republic that Kim had mentioned in the last episode, At Achrann. Now, Neel befriends a girl soldier of the Troiks named Haina, whose father, General Strix, insists that the children be treated like adults. Neel does not take to the violent lifestyle of the Troiks very well, preferring a more humane approach. The kids, however, must aid the Troiks in getting their Eopes back. Meanwhile, Jod and SM-33 are back at the ship and start wandering a little. SM-33 is having memory problems, and Jod is trying to jog his memory. They run into the Hattans, and they manage to buy the Eopes back using those great old Republic credits. As a reward for getting the Eopes back to the Troiks bring them to the Fallen Sanctum, which resembles the Supervisor's Tower on At Achrann. The crew find that it contains the coordinates to the other sister planets, but At Achrann's coordinates have been scratched out. In fact, SM-33 reveals that he himself destroyed those coordinates, but his memory has been wiped. Fern, being a master of droid memory wipes, orders him to remember, and SM-33 recalls that his previous captain had killed any of the crew who saw the coordinates, and ordered SM-33 to dispose of their remains and to forget everything he knew about At Achrann. He literally couldn't say he knew no At Achrann. Moreover, he had to kill anyone who ever came looking for the treasure on At Achrann. At which point, SM-33 begins to follow this command and attacks Fern and KB and Wim. But Neel is able to distract the droid, chucking a rock at it, which gives Jod the chance to reach the off switch and deactivate SM-33. It's a thrill ride of a show, and it adds mysteries on top of mysteries that we already have. But what do you say we start at the beginning as they're approaching this forested planet of At Achrann? What were your first impressions of coming to the planet and seeing, you know, did you think it was At Achrann? What were your clues that it might not be? Let's start with you, Kathryn.
Right away, I knew something was wrong when we saw those satellites in the clouds. I was like, wait a minute, this can't be right. And then as they were coming in, just the way the kids were reacting to everything. And when they were on the ground and everything being different. At first, it kind of felt like an episode of Lost. I was like,
yeah.
What's going on with this planet disappearing and reappearing? So, but yeah, the satellites up in the clouds kind of showed up as odd because I've seen those in other illustrations. I think in Legends, where they're like used as like planet destroyers.
I was going to say they struck me as defense platforms, maybe.
I thought that they were
at the planet.
See, I thought they were warning buoys. I thought that I was reminded of the theory on the Fermi paradox, where the planet's a nature reserve, you know, where you're trying to keep people away. So I was thinking, but here, let me recap. So like when they first show up and they go through the warning buoys into the planet's surface, the first thing I thought of was, wow, the pirates must have got here first and destroyed everything and made off with the loot, you know? So that was the first thing I thought of when they landed on At Achrann. But then the second thing I thought of was what I said, where they must have put out these buoys or something to either indicate, like the first thing I thought was like an uncontacted tribe or a plague ship, one of the two, you know, where it's like you have a way of knowing, okay, well, you probably shouldn't interact with these people. So I did not track that it was only after they showed up and started talking about how it wasn't their home that I realized it wasn't. I thought that I thought the pirates had showed up and blown the planet to smithereens. They got me.
I really liked Wim's idea that maybe we've been asleep for 100 years, and
that was really cool too. Yeah.
And I thought, what if that was the case? What if like the barrier had like an effect on time, and that time moved more quickly or more slowly, on different sides of the barrier, and so they came back and everything they'd known is now long in the past. But
sounds like a Star Trek episode.
That does sound more Trekky than Warzy. Warzy, is that a word?
Warzy.
Warzy. But yeah, so much of it though, like, was just, you know, the identicalness of the urban planning, and yet everything destroyed, and like, I think it was Neel who pointed out, you know, it can't be the same. Look at this tree. Whatever happened here happened a long, long time ago. So in the last episode, Kim told us that the other jewels of the Old Republic had been destroyed. And so I guess we're getting a taste of what that looks like.
Now I want to know when it was destroyed.
When? Yeah.
Because there was one, at first I thought, the pirates did this. Once we learned that SM-33 had been there.
Mm-hmm.
But then watching it the second time, when he comes down the platform, he's like, warriors, they were here. Like, and so it's like, wait a minute. So they were already at war like this when SM-33 showed up with his original captain.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the destruction that happened a long time ago. But why? Why did this happen?
So I think the destruction was Imperial because there's a split second scene of one soldier wearing an Imperial officer's helmet, the kind that General Veers wore when he destroyed Echo Base. So there's just a split second shot of someone with the same scavenged helmet. So I'm pretty sure it's Empire.
Was it a Troik or a Hatan?
It was a Troik. A Troik was holding a scanner. He was like holding a hand like satellite dish style scanner, but he had the helmet of an Imperial officer on.
Oh, he had the goggles on too, right?
Yeah, he had the goggles on too. Okay. So he had the goggles and the helmet. Yeah. You can watch it back. It's only on frame for like 1-2 seconds.
Another reason to rewatch.
This is the analysis you get on Star Quest Production Network podcast.
Oh man. Okay, so probably Imperial destruction of them, which would make sense, and that could be as far back as, you know, that could be decades in the past.
Yeah, it'd be 40 years by that time. By the time of Skeleton Crew.
20-ish years anyway. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, do you think Kim like led them there deliberately? Like, do you think Kim knew that this was at Achrann, not at Achrann? Or do you think Kim had bad information to start with? Or
she seemed like she was guessing just based on what the kids were saying. Like she narrowed it down.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be clouded. If all the planets are the same and they're all clouded, she could have sent them to any of the 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
And her little star chart, when she rolled out the star chart, had 9 cloudy planets that all kind of looked similar too.
Okay. So we're thinking this is a mistake, destroyed during the Imperial period sometime in there. Yeah. That's just like adding to the, you know, why did At Achrann survive? I mean, it clearly has no knowledge of the Empire.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have knowledge of... Does it even have knowledge of the Republic at this point, you know? They said they learned about Coruscant and Alderaan, but, like, who knows how long they've been going? They have old Republic credits, but, like, doesn't mean they were around, you know, during Episode 1. Could be older.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Probably much older. I mean, I'm guessing that this is something like very old, maybe even pre-Palpatine, who, you know, and especially if the Empire was the one who destroyed them, I wonder if Palpatine was looking for At Achrann, looking for the treasure, just like the pirates are.
Yeah.
Possibilities. Many possibilities.
I'm just trying to figure out how pre-Empire credits are worth anything.
Well, especially on a war-torn planet where you're fighting over livestock.
Yeah.
Although,
but like even the pirates thought they were really, really expensive. It's like, are they made of like precious metals or something? That's the only thing I could think of.
Jad did take a bite of it.
Yeah, he took a bite out of it. Maybe they're pure gold or something.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just like, you know, really rare coins are today. You know, it may be a penny, but it's a special penny that nobody else has, and it's
like 1920s
to
copper
him, it's
pennies.
just lunch money.
Yeah. It's just lunch money.
Just lunch money. That lunch money is taking them a long ways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the general did say something like, we trade hides for munitions or something. We don't have much communication with outside worlds, but apparently they do have some, and so maybe credits are worth something, Old Republic or otherwise.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I just find it really strange that like they're worth anything at all to the outside world, because like even in the prequels there is that scene where Watto's like, Republic credits? I don't want Republic credits. I want money. That weird, that split second scene. So it's like I don't know if there's some nuance that we're not even aware of yet that is going to explain why these old pieces of money are just absolute bank in this era. But it seems really strange that the thing that was even considered worthless elsewhere in the galaxy is like in another part of the galaxy just super duper expensive and rare.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, Tatooine is very outer rim. So,
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Andor dipped into money a little bit, with the big heist in that arc of the series.
Yeah, that's true. And they had the cases of credits.
Yeah. But yeah, we really don't know a whole lot about how money works in this galaxy far, far away. And
well, the accounting planet is hidden.
The banking clan planet, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, were you talking about the banking clan planet from the Clone Wars?
No.
No.
It seems like
At Achrann, the accounting planet.
Like all they're being trained for is accounting.
I've been trying to file my taxes for 30 years.
It is an evil empire. They would
the IRS
do their taxes there too.
The empire is so evil they don't even let you file your taxes.
Oh man. So anyway, whatever happened to At Achrann, which we may or may not find out in detail, I suppose. We know its current condition, which is, these I don't know, they didn't seem like huge communities. They seemed more like large gangs or small towns of people fighting each other. But the Troiks at least had no problem whatsoever using their children as soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, human shields. You go first.
Yeah. And, on the one hand, so a theme of the show so far has been children being put in adult situations, and here now it's explicit. We treat our children like adults here, which is not a good thing.
Nope.
Yeah, that was shocking the way that they, act like, we're treating you like adults. The kids think, that's so cool. We learn how to shoot, and then, you go first.
Yeah.
You lead the battle. Mm-hmm. I love the way Fern was like, no, thank you. She was the adult in the room for that moment.
Yeah.
It's interestingly contrasted with At Achrann, because they do the same thing, but not in the brutalized way, because they were just testing all of their children to figure out what their entire life is going to be like, as far as their career. So we don't have a good track record from the At planets on this one. It was kind of funny, though, that At Achrann and At Achrann both kind of unceremoniously dump their children into adulthood. you know, in not good ways. Obviously one is at war and the other isn't, so that's different, but there's some similarities, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's not room for everybody at the top. So, you know, there's a kind of warfare on At Achrann as well. You know, you've got to be top of your class. You've got to pass your assessment. You've got to do well in your assessment to get the kind of career that you want, and everyone's competing with everyone else. So it's just warfare by a different name. Slightly less bloody.
Yeah.
Although Neel's little story arc in this, I don't know, that little guy's up for sainthood if anything happens to him.
Neel.
He's looking for martyrdom in a way.
I like Neel.
Yeah.
Neel's got to be force sensitive. He's got to become force sensitive. They've got to find a temple. He's got to get a lightsaber. He'd make a good Jedi.
He would never activate his lightsaber.
No.
Which is
I was gonna say he'd be like Yoda in the original, who never had a lightsaber and just did stuff. Neel would just never have a lightsaber, just do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he became pretty much a spokesperson for absolute pacifism. But yeah. And, you know, Neel is interesting in that, like, he's the one who is the most romantically involved of anybody in their
barely. Yeah, I guess.
You know, he's got a crush on Runa and he's working up to talking to her. But now he's like, you know, getting hit on by Hana.
Hey, he got his first kiss.
And it's because he's an idealist. It's because he's this kind of absolute pacifist, and he's willing to sort of express his weakness and not run away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really interesting. You know, he just comes out with this wholesale critique of their society, of, you know, one group fighting against the other, and, you know, says, you know, I would just say I'm sorry and, you know, stop the fighting, just bring peace right there.
And he said that takes more courage.
Yeah.
And then he showed great courage.
Yeah.
At the end, chucking that rock. It's like, don't hurt my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Which in some ways you could see as a violent act. I mean, it's throwing a harmful projectile, but yeah, it's also at a droid who, you know, is not going to get hurt.
Yeah. The thing you can turn off and on at a whim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's got, you know, a metal exterior. It's, you know, most it might get is a dent. But at the same time, it's stepping in. It's, you know, joining the fight in a way.
I would have loved it if he had a slingshot and it was a David and Goliath moment and he hit him just right. It would have been awesome.
Like a literal slingshot. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking also of his courage in stepping forward to patrol with his friends, and he was paralyzed for a moment there.
Mm-hmm.
And Hana says, "You seem nervous." he just, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
They do such a good job animating his little pudgy face, knowing that you can barely see his mouth. Because his eye rolls, the shaking when he was nervous and everything, his hyperventilating, or when he's like, "This smoke is bothering my trunk."
Yeah. You
could hear him like wheezing.
I think Neel was definitely the star of this episode.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's also the only one who saw the Troik's big gun.
The big gun. Yeah.
The cannon they had mounted on the top of what we still think maybe is a school.
But yeah, they think it's a school. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. My school never had a cannon on its roof.
My school had World War II era bomb shelter tunnels, but no cannon.
Ooh.
No cannon on my schools. No, darn.
Yeah.
The inverse of a cannon.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that's not going to be important at all.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost wondered, like, if At Achran's the accounting planet, is this the warrior planet? Are they in charge of weapons and other things?
Or is At Achrann the only planet that managed to keep a civilized society this long?
See, now it sounds like Lost again. Ugh.
There we go. Yeah.
So I wonder if there's like a secret gateway between the planets or something like that, or did At Achrann? Maybe At Achrann is the one behind the destruction of the other jewels.
It could be.
Ooh.
I think we're kind of in a Treasure Island situation. Where like someone got there first, wrapped it all up, and like either died or, is the supervisor. Just saying.
I mean, we got to meet the supervisor sooner or later.
Yeah, we'll have to meet the supervisor. Or if there's no supervisor, gasp, it's a droid or something like that.
It could be a computer, could be a droid. Somebody was it in the podcast or was it on our Discord server? Somebody was suggesting something, that it might be a machine, and I was like, ooh, Wrinkle in Time vibes.
That would be in the Discord. I remember that.
Okay.
I was reminded of the allocator in Star Trek Voyager. That there's like a 2-parter season opening episode where they go to a planet where there's just a central computer algorithm that allocates resources to everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So many possibilities. I mean, it makes sense. Here we are. This is episode 4. It's an 8 episode series, so we're kind of like right in the middle. It makes sense that they're just raising a whole bunch of questions.
Yes.
Just like mystery on top of mystery on top of mystery, and it's almost like I just want something to have some kind of answer. I'm really excited for the answers, and you're not getting any, not yet. But maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
I think we're probably going to get the big chunk of the story next episode in 5. Like the story behind the ship, if that makes sense. Behind
their pirate ship, or
behind their pirate ship. Yeah. Okay. Because they just the cat's out of the bag with At Achrann's coordinates. The droid's hostile now, presumably. And I think they're just going to have to figure out, all right, what was this ship? How did it get on At Achrann? And why? And it apparently didn't just go to At Achrann. It got to other planets too. So it's that's probably, hopefully we get that soon. Because otherwise we're going to be like, gosh, I think I'm going to reveal it all in the last 2 episodes of the show.
It's going to be a big Wizard of Oz ending. And
oh, gosh. Yeah. Pay no attention to the Jedi behind the curtain.
Yeah, the captain.
The Jedi.
SME's captain is going to be... He crashed on At Achrann, and he's the supervisor behind the curtain. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
That's a possibility. That's,
I mean,
so maybe
Skeleton Crew only has 8
is...
episodes.
Sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. Skeleton Crew only has 8 episodes. We're halfway through the show.
Yeah.
So it's we got to figure some of this stuff out,
Yeah, at the same time, I think it makes sense that they're not giving us enough to answer these questions yet.
Yeah.
Cause I mean, this is the point. I'm a story structure nerd. So, the midpoint is usually a point where there's a big twist in the plot that puts everything in a new perspective. So, Ryan, I think you're absolutely right. I think the next episode is going to start with, here's a big twist that makes us look at everything in a new light. And I think we need to meet the old captain, or at least learn who the old captain is, what happened. And I like the idea that maybe the old captain is the supervisor.
Yeah.
That's the possibility.
It's very Treasure Island-y. I actually just finished reading Treasure Island again recently. I have it sitting next to me.
Such a good book.
Yeah. But it totally reminded me of how you have these just very uneasy alliances and these just shoestring, just trying to find your way through this situation with extremely limited resources. And I was like, oh yeah, totally. I can totally see how, oh gosh, what is his name? It's something Jack. What's his pirate name?
Crimson Jack?
Crimson Jack, yeah. Crimson Jack is very much like Long John Silver in that way, where he's like, he kind of is on both sides of it. He's going for the treasure, but he's also clearly helping the kids. Like he
did not have to rescue them from the Troiks.
No, he didn't. He had the droid. He had the droid and the coordinates. He probably could have scratched it from there, but he kept them.
But he's still doing it like a goofy uncle.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like, hey kids, come on, let's go. Mom says I can't stay up past 8. It's 10. It's fine.
He is clearly someone who has not spent much time around kids.
Yes.
He just either treats them like adults or dismisses them entirely and doesn't have anything in between and doesn't know what to do with them being kids.
Throws them into ship-mounted cannons. Here, kids, have fun.
Yeah. Which,
when he takes them back, I'll take the 4 little ones. But wait, how much are those hides worth?
Yeah.
He's joking.
Yeah. And there's definitely a lot more to learn about him, about his character, and maybe his character's relationship with the old captain. That would be another Treasure Island turn. That certainly would be like Treasure Island content for sure. Yeah.
I saw the do you guys agree that he was the old captain and then Brutus usurped him?
Oh, Silvo? Yeah.
Yeah, of the sort of
the opening shot.
Episode 1.
Yeah. In episode 1. Yeah. So I see that as,
I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, I see that as kind of his Long John Silver bit where he's he was part of the old crew. The old crew, got rid of him and he's going for the same treasure. Now, obviously, I don't think the old captain had anything to do with Brutus and all that pirate crew. I just don't think the ages line up, if that makes sense. So that ship was buried in the dirt, and it's crusty, stuff flies off of it whenever they go to hyperspace.
I love that. So I love all the smoke effects. And we saw them the ship when it goes to hyperspace. I noticed SM-33, I still want to call it Smee. He early in the episode when he was when Jod was trying to jog his memory about At Achrann, he started smoking and dust flying off of him and just the Lucas said for the original Star Wars trilogy he wanted to have a galaxy that looked lived in, and this is upping the ante on that. This is turning that up to 11, and I love it.
Yeah, it's it's become meta at this point. It's you're being lived in with the lived in galaxy. You're showing stuff from I mean, even on the pirate planet, they were showing stuff from all of the Star Wars, ages, and it was covered in dirt. It was great.
Yeah.
And speaking of lived in, where was the rat when Smee was going nuts?
Maybe the rat
did
was
he
trying to
stay
stop
on the ship? I was like, I wanted him to pop out and pull a wire or something.
Yeah,
I thought he liked Neel.
I really want to know the dynamic between that little rat creature and Smee. Is the rat really sentient, maybe intelligent, kind of driving Smee in a way? Maybe.
I thought of I thought of the parrot in Treasure Island. Sorry, I still been thinking of Treasure Island. I recently read the book, so it's fresh in my mind. I thought of the parrot in Treasure Island that accompanied Long John Silver, kind of a relic of the past. The past.
Morph in Treasure Planet.
Yeah, or Treasure Planet. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen Treasure Planet.
Because there was another Treasure Planet reference in when Jod was digging through Wim's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For a brief moment, they focused in on this golden orb.
The orb, the orb.
And that reminded me of in Treasure Planet, there was a golden orb that they turned it just right, and it showed you the path to the treasure.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that was the map.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you only focus in on a piece of, something in the scene if it's going to mean something later, I feel like.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah, we shall see. I mean, it's clear this is, pulling on so many different influences, many of them. I mean, there's a sense in which Treasure Island is the deepest root of all of these pirate influences, story influences, but it's pulling on all of them. We've talked about Pirates of the Caribbean as well as Treasure Planet, Treasure Island, and its various movie adaptations. And so there, to say nothing of all the rest of Star Wars lore and for that matter Disney lore and so on, it's just pulling on everything and throwing it together. And one of the great themes that kind of comes out of all of that is the sort of moral quandary at the heart of it all. And that comes out in a certain way in this, in a very clear sort of violence versus peace in this episode. But like a lot of pirate literature and shows and media and movies and stuff, it's a question of, what's more important, treasure or people? What's more important, your principles or survival? And those questions they keep coming up in this show as well. And our kids who are trying to figure out how to be adults, they're trying to figure out what their moral framework is going to be. They're wrestling with it. And they kind of come at it from different points of view. And we definitely get Neel's point of view, like really clearly in this episode. But like the scenes where like that scene toward the end, where Fern and Wim are talking about who should be captain. And like just the burden of responsibility that she is feeling and that Wim is recognizing for the first time. I thought that was incredible. And go ahead.
It was good to see Fern hit that moment. She was at her ultimate frustration. She had shouted out, "Stop saying that," and just walks off to the window. And when Wim gets there, you see that she's crying, and it was like that pressure break point for her. I mean, all her life she's been trying to live up to her mom's expectation and at the same time trying to be the tough girl who, races her bike. And so it was interesting to see her hit that point where it was like she was her most real.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just a kid. I don't know what I'm doing. I almost got us killed in a battle, So it's like it kind of hit her. And at the same time, through this whole thing, Wim is constantly still playing.
Yeah.
He's the first one to go over to the playground equipment when they first land. He gets excited to explore through the house and touch everything. When they're told to, hey, you're going to learn how to fight. Okay, this is a fun game. Hey, look, I can turn it up and watch what happens, blow myself backwards on the recoil. And just all of that whole moment, he just seems like he's still playing. And it took him to see her break down to realize this isn't just a game anymore. This isn't some adventure.
I think Wim's the kid we've spent the most time with on the screen, and I also think it's pretty clear that he's like the least mature out of all of them, just from the way he acts, and kind of how they set him up with, he discovers all of this, but then, he just kind of gets sidelined because he just cannot handle the responsibility of decisions and, doing things with like having to make decisions for a group, and I wonder if because I think there's kind of just like each of the kids definitely has one thing that they really very obviously struggle with, and I wonder if we've got 4 episodes left. I wonder if there's going to be kind of a similar moment in the few remaining episodes before the finale where the kids kind of do have a moment where they're like, oh, okay. So a recognition of, their limitations, but also like knowing that they can, get better, that sort of thing. They can grow up, they can do it.
It was interesting because you really saw how Fern feels like she has to be the leader. Her mom's a leader.
Yes.
Wim seems to have hardly any relationship with his father, so he has no understanding of what it means to be grown up, so to speak, take on responsibility. It was interesting to see a brief moment with KB. She shoots the cans in their target practice. Wim goes to give her a high five and she looks at him like, what are you doing? Like she'd never high-fived a kid before. So she has no concept of play. It's like she's only had to be on task, and then you have Neel in all of this, who's from a larger family than any of the other kids. He understands responsibility and caring for younger siblings, and yet also knows, I want peace. I don't want to do all this fighting stuff, partly because his little brother beat up on him, but yeah.
Well, then he's just scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of his thing.
I mean, he also said, this is wrong. We shouldn't be fighting. And I'm not saying that just because I'm scared.
Yeah.
There's something beyond the fear in Neel. And I think it's like when they were first exploring and that there was the explosion that alerted them that they weren't alone, and everybody ducked and hid except KB. She was just standing there looking around, and they had to pull her down into cover.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I didn't pick this up before, but I think KB is what we would in today's parlance call neurodivergent. She's maybe she doesn't relate to the other people in quite the same way. She doesn't have much emotional expression or spectrum, and she's her experience of the world is very different from the rest of theirs. And I think this is one of the things that I'm loving about this show is how how much range they're able to get out of these 4 characters.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Wim, who is always, seeking adventure and excitement and wants to be a Jedi, seeking the things that a Jedi ought not to crave. Don't really know what Fern wants, like in the big picture, long term, but she definitely wants to have more control over her life and her destiny, and she definitely feels like she's the most grown up of them, and she has an ambivalent relationship with that idea. And then Neel is deeply empathetic toward others, and that's sometimes paralyzing. And KB is almost the opposite, is never paralyzed, always is willing to step in and do whatever needs doing, but doesn't quite connect the way the others do. And it's just this incredible range of different ways to experience the world, which I think gives this, very 80s, popcorny adventure story more depth than it would otherwise have.
Yeah. Can't wait to learn more about, I don't know, everything. I am just so interested. I think that the thing that honestly interested me the most when I just started Skeleton Crew was what on earth is going on with the visor.
With KB's visor?
Yeah. Because it's just this bit that we haven't seen this yet in Star Wars. We haven't seen someone who presumably has some sort of, the first thing I thought was, Geordi's visor, but the thing that I wonder is just based on where the kids all come from, everything seems to be very much just geared around efficiency and production and making things. I wonder if part of KB's experience with the visor is going to be taking it off or removing it or something like that, and we may learn something about that visor and how it relates to her experience of the world. Because I thought of it as sort of a way she just crowds out, and for lack of a better word, just takes experiences away, and I don't know if that was necessarily imposed upon her or something that was she's a kid, so it's probably a decision made by her parents, or someone else. But I wonder how much that contributes to her perception of the world, because she definitely will take it off for a time, and then and something will happen that is just a little bit, it almost seems like she gets overwhelmed and then throws it back on.
She's a little tech-like.
Yeah, she's tech-like. The first thing I thought of was Zebo Rebels. Sorry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when she needs to analyze, the visors are on when she's trying to figure things out.
Yeah, she's got to take it off sometimes. She's got to live in the real world.
Yeah, I wonder when her modification was added or why.
That was the thing I was
thinking of, too. Because her mom didn't have any modifications.
Yeah, her parents didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, more questions than answers. And I think that's just the frustration of being where we are in the series. We're halfway through. It's question asking time. It's not question answering time. And
sure.
I like answers.
Just like at the end of the episode, I felt like Neel, all these questions, and I just passed out. Why?
Yep.
What is going on?
Too much. Yes. The world is too much. Sleep is for the me. I don't know.
Sleep is for the me.
Sleep is for the me.
Oh man. Speaking of me,
oh no.
How was that for a transition?
Good job.
We see a new side of Smee in, when his memory is reactivated. Good job, Fern, for figuring that out. Bad job, Fern, for not doing a safety check first.
Right.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah. So, I mean, we always kind of knew Smee was not a safe droid. But I was actually stunned at how quickly he turned on our heroes, and I had begun to consider him part of our crew, and it's very clear that he is still part of his old crew. And I seem to come back to this in every everything we do, every show or movie that we talk about. But the level to which droids have consciousness and freedom and will, the level to which a droid can be said to be a person in the Star Wars universe, it's really ambiguous, and it seems to shift from like one
unit to unit, literally.
Almost unit to unit, as well as one sort of branch of the franchise to another. And so I'm like trying to parse out where does Smee fall on this spectrum of personhood, because he seems in some ways much more bound by his programming than some of the other droids that we've met. Certainly more than like R2 or Chopper, and how do I don't know, how do I relate to his character? Is he's
a pit bull. That's how you, I don't know. I think
okay, say more.
I think of the droids in Star Wars more like the way people treat their pets.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have some people that call their pets their babies and treat them as if they're human babies. And you have people that treat them, hey, this is a dog, I'm going to treat it like a dog. This is a horse, I'm treating it like a horse. But
yeah,
SM-33 in this case is literally like a pit bull, because he can, when needed, under the right command, turn on you. And he did. And he turned on Fern so greatly that he stopped calling her captain. All this time he's been calling her captain and following her rules. And the second that memory kicked in, it overrid everything he'd been saying. And it was just like, you are meant to be ripped to shreds.
Yes.
Plain and simple. You're in my
limb from limb.
Yeah, limb from limb. Yeah.
I think that honestly, it makes total sense to me. I was shocked that they lasted this long without Smee going haywire, because like, if you really think about where he was designed and programmed in that context, there are basically two rules. One, figure out who the captain is and do what he says. And he was literally doing that the entire time. So I just think it is so unsurprising to me that he did that, because it totally makes sense that if he was programmed in a way where he follows those two rules, and like, if you're a droid, you got to follow those two rules. Otherwise, you're going to have the first mate giving you orders to kill the captain, and that's just going to create a terrible situation on a ship or something like that. So I'm just totally unsurprised.
And the extremes that we got.
Yeah, and what you said with the animals thing, that reminded me of like how also like some in the Star Wars world too, it's like some animals are much, much smarter than others.
Yes.
Like my cat that knows how to open doors and cupboards, and I have to get child locks on everything now because he's a genius.
Too smart for his own good, right?
Shout out to my cat.
Is his name Shmee?
No, his name is Bonsai.
Oh, even better.
Yes.
Bonsai like the tree, or bonsai like
the tree, not the kamikaze cry.
But it was interesting the extreme they gave us, because you think about the beginning of the movie, right after, or the show. I wish it was a whole movie. But right after they landed, and Smee goes into babysitter mode.
Yeah.
Look, baby, he's just so cute. And
don't make me count.
I mean, how do you get babysitter mode and limb from limb in 30 minutes? You're like, what happened?
I have no idea.
And Jude Law's acting at that moment, it's like being called
just
baby.
Take me now.
Yeah.
That was so. I loved that scene because it's just you never see that sort of thing in Star Wars. It's always like I got a bad feeling about this, and then everyone dies. But never do you just see like it's just so rare you get the no reward is worth this moment.
Yes.
Yes, that was so good.
Yeah. Speaking of which, have we had a I've got a bad feeling about this yet in this series?
Oh, no, we haven't. I mean, we haven't even heard a major Star Wars theme in this series. Music-wise. Yeah, like we haven't even had a major musical theme.
We had a little bit of the Force theme when Jod was getting the key.
Yeah.
But that's you're right, that's it.
I still
and
don't
then
think he's a Jedi.
when they were leaving the pirate base, Fern was like, that was too easy. Like the escape, just like Princess Leia said, it was too easy. Or Han Solo, whoever.
100%. 100%. It's too easy.
No, and I mean, just the setup of the shots and the structure of things. I mean, they're quoting not just Star Wars, but all kinds of, certainly the Amblin corpus but all sorts of movies. Like I said, it's drawing on all of these different branches of the Star Wars franchise, the pirate sort of genre, and the Amblin-ish kids movie.
I definitely think there's also a tinge of like grand seafaring novels in it too.
Sure.
Because you are dealing with sort of like shipboard politics and the like fragileness, of just like what it means to be on a ship with 5 other people and having to just like keep things moving. I guess we kind of definitely got that in the first shot of the whole show, where you have the captain, punished for not being able to do what he needs to do. That reminded me of like the Master and Commander novels in a way.
Yeah. Well, and then finally, it's all kind of set against this backdrop of a Brave New World or a Wrinkle in Time sort of dystopia. Utopia disguised as a dystopia. There's just so much going on in this show. It's incredible.
Then we got our first sounds of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you're always good with the music.
With the Trach and the Hattons?
The Hattons, yeah.
Hattons, yeah. So when you see the Hattons marching in, I mean, they're actually like marching to the beat of orcs. There's even some sound that sounds like the orcs.
Oh, see, I did not. I just did not clock that, but now that you're saying that, I can definitely see that for sure.
One of the lead guys was marching the same way too, with that little bit of like a high step swing side to side kind of walk.
Yeah.
And then her dad, the way he was always tapping, and they're always like, grunting back the call and stuff like that. That was also like right in there. Felt so Lord of the Rings. So it was like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they are at war.
Did anyone else get Saw Gerrera vibes from the dad, kind of?
Yeah. Especially when he said, okay, now it's time to prove yourself by leading us in battle. It's, they might be valuable to us if they survive.
Well, that and the staff, how Saw was just, boom, leaning on that staff all the time. Definitely the very much morally corrupt leader who is not doing the right thing. Yeah.
Definitely seeing those under him as tools and assets to achieve his goals. And his daughter was, when my father dies, I will be the one to lead my people to victory.
Yeah.
And yet she is the one who is drawn to the kindness and the peacefulness of Neel, the weakness, that strength in weakness, which, I mean, I don't know if there's any other religious tradition that teaches this, but Christianity is absolutely, all about this paradox of strength is found in weakness. Where I am weak, then I am strong, because it is the strength of God that works in me. And it's, that idea that, reliance on God and knowing that we have life beyond death, that Christ is risen and we will rise with him, and therefore we can risk death in this life, and we don't lose by being a martyr, by standing up for what is right, even if it costs us our life. And that level of courage is, and that particular kind of courage, that flavor of courage, is, I think through Christianity is kind of baked into Western culture. But it's still pretty rare to see on screen as explicitly as we saw it in Neel's sort of manifesto.
Neel is Catholic, confirmed. Comes from big family, is peaceful.
That's the first thing I thought of too. He's got a Catholic family.
Neel is a Franciscan. This is the kind of high quality analysis you get on the Star Quest.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, with that, we should turn to our listeners. What do you think is the most Catholic thing about Neel? What do you think is going on with SM-33? What do you think happened to At Achrann? Where are our intrepid band of not pirates going to? Where are they off to next? Let us know. Send us an email at starwars@sqpn.com. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Our favorite place, you've heard us talk about it, is our Discord server. Join our channel on the Discord server. You can get an invitation at our website, sqpn.com/Discord.
You get free access to Catterday.
Catterday. Absolutely. If you want roving gangs on ruined planets to know what flag you fly, you can pick up some official Secrets of Star Wars gear featuring our slogan, "Finding Hope in a Galaxy Far, Far Away." You can get that at sqpn.com/merch. And please follow the Secrets of Star Wars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform you're listening to your podcasts on. Or you can even check out our StarQuest YouTube channel. Once again, if you'd like to support StarQuest and this podcast directly, head for sqpn.com/give. Everything you do, post a review, subscribe to our podcast, everything you do helps grow the StarQuest network and build our community. So, yeah, until our next episode, which will be about the next episode of Skeleton Crew. Ryan, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you all.
Yeah. Thank you. Kathryn, it's always great to have you.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
And yeah, it is late Advent when we're recording this, so Merry Christmas to all of you who are listening. Once again, I've been Robert King. Thank you all for sharing with us the secrets of Star Wars on StarQuest.
Hi, folks. This is Dom Bettinelli, CEO of StarQuest. Over the years, the StarQuest network has continued to grow as a unique Catholic apostolate, bringing faith and culture together in ways that educate, inspire, and entertain. We're thrilled to have so many loyal supporters whose generosity makes all our shows possible. It's also a reality that over time, some of our supporters will step away from their giving. It is also true that the financial support that sustains this mission currently comes from fewer than 1% of those who enjoy our podcasts and videos. If we're to continue producing this life-changing content and expanding to reach new people, we urgently need new supporters to join us and current supporters to increase their assistance. This Advent and Christmas, the time when nonprofits like ours receive most of their support for the year, we're asking you to prayerfully consider becoming part of the StarQuest mission or increasing your support. Every gift of every size has a lasting impact. To make your tax-deductible gift, please visit sqpn.com/give. That's sqpn.com/give. Thank you for being part of the StarQuest family, and may God bless you abundantly this Advent and Christmas season.